Hello and welcome back to Story of the Day for Year 3 to Year 6, and we're picking up Grandpa's Great Escape again. And yesterday the matron had her cattle prod and had just tried to singe Jack, but it had missed and it caught the curtain and the fire had started spreading up the curtain. So chapter 48 is entitled Inferno. To escape the flames, Jack backed down the corridor. He reached Grandpa and Mrs. Trifle. Together the three hurried away from the fire. Matron staggered after them, her body framed by the oncoming inferno. The flames were moving fast, and soon they were catching up with her. "Ah!" cried Miss Swine in the blazing heat. The fire was rapidly becoming out of control, devouring everything in sight. Flames leapt along the corridor in front of her. In an instant, Miss Swine had become trapped by a blaze. "You take care of Trifle, old boy," ordered the Grandpa. "I'll save the Commandant." What? Jack couldn't believe his ears. "They may be my enemy, but as an officer and a gentleman, it is a matter of honour. I must try and save them." With that, the old man shielded his face from the flames with his arm and walked bravely towards Miss Swine. "Give me your hand," he said, and he stretched his arm out through the flames. Miss Swine reached out her hand to meet his. She grabbed it tight and smiled craftily at the old man. "Take this, you gibbering fool," she cried, and she lifted her cattle prod high out into the air. "Watch out!" cried the boy. Bash! It was too late. Miss Swine had walloped Grandpa over the head with her cattle prod, knocking him unconscious to the ground. "No!" cried Jack. Chapter 49. Hot as hell. A crazed smile crossed Miss Swine's face. It now looked like she was going in for the kill, but as she violently swung her cattle prod up in the air to zap Grandpa this time, she lost her balance in her high heels. Matron toppled backwards into the flame. "Ah!" Jack rushed forward and dragged his poor grandfather from the path of the inferno. Their only way out the building was at the front door that was now blocked by a blaze. As the boy had already discovered, that the back door by the Twilight Towers had been bricked up and there were bars on all the windows. This place was a death trap. Thick black smoke was now billowing along the corridor. It was rapidly becoming as hot as hell. Jack took a deep breath. He needed to find some way out of Twilight Towers, and fast. And now he had two elderly people in his care. His grandfather, who had not been knocked out, and a posh old lady who was rapidly getting on his nerves. Holding Grandpa's ankles under his arms, he pulled him up to where Mrs. Trifle was waiting a distance from the flame. "Well, I must say," began the old lady, "this place has really gone off." "Will you help me?" pleaded the boy. "Take a leg." For once, Mrs. Trifle did as she was told. "May I inquire as to where we're going?" "Anywhere away from the fire," said the boy. Together they dragged the old man along the corridor and up a huge flight of stairs. It was hard going, and poor Grandpa's head bumped on each step. Bump, 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 bump. "Ow, ow, ow, ow," he murmured at regular intervals. The upside was it was waking the old man up, and by the time they'd reached the first floor, he had opened his eyes again. "Are you all right, sir?" asked the boy as he bent down over him. "Yes, just a nasty bump on my head. Next time I try to save the Commandant, please stop me." "Will do," replied Jack, taking off his nurse's uniform to reveal his own clothes underneath. "Excuse me," said Mrs. Trifle, tapping the boy on the shoulder. "How do you propose we get out of this dreadful place?" "I don't know yet," snapped the boy, and in his mind he flicked through all the rooms and Twilight Towers he had seen when he'd first climbed up the drain pipe a few nights ago. Suddenly, Jack had an idea, so crazy that it might just work. "Do you still have the roller skates I gave you the other night?" "Yes," replied Grandpa quizzically, as he rose to his feet, ripping off his own nurse's uniform. "Can you get them?" asked the boy. "Yes, of course. They're in my dormitory. I hid them in my mattress." "Then grab them right away, sir, and the string. And you know where the Commandant's office is?" "Of course, Squadron Leader. There are some top secret enemy documents piled up on the desk. Take everything in sight. Then meet us in the room at the end of this landing," Jack said, pointing to it. "Roger that." As Grandpa dashed off down the landing, Mrs. Trifle looked at the boy in astonishment. "Child, this isn't the time to go and skate," as if she was about to say skateboarding, only realised that she had the wrong mid-word. Rollering. Roller skating, corrected the boy. That's what I said, harumphed the lady. No, I have a better idea. Follow me. Jack ushered Mrs. Trifle along the landing to the last door at the end. Just as the boy had remembered, this was the spookiest room of all in Twilight Towers. The room of coffins. Oh my goodness, the old lady gasped in shock at the sight of the rows and rows of wooden boxes. I always suspected that the awful matron and her ghastly nurses were doing, all they were doing was waiting for us to die. I know I'm old, but there's still life in this old girl yet. The boy shut the door behind them to keep the smoke out, and then he approached Mrs. Trifle. Her eyes were glazed with tears, and Jack rested a comforting hand on her shoulder. We are going to get out of here, Mrs. Trifle, I promise you. The door swung open. It was Grandpa, proudly holding the roller skates, a ball of string and a pile of wheels for the matron's office. The old man saluted, and the boy saluted back. Over his grandson's shoulder, Grandpa spied the coffins for the first time. For goodness sake, man, what on earth are we doing in here? He thundered. Jack gathered his thoughts for a moment. Raj told me the only way out of Twilight Towers was in a coffin. I don't follow, replied the old lady. Spit it out, man, said Grandpa. Well, I think he was right. That's how we're going to get out of here, in one of those. And tomorrow we're going to pick up at chapter 50, and it's entitled Cough Boggin. I wonder if that's a clue about how they're going to use the coffins.